I'm going to be using this really cool 100% cotton yarn, and I'm going to be using a size H crochet hook. The first thing you're going to learn is how to make a slip knot. So I'm right-handed, and I'm going to go ahead and hold the short end of the yarn in my left hand. Extend my index finger, take the yarn, and I'll wrap it around my index finger twice, and I'll hold it at the bottom. We'll call this the back, this the front. We're going to take the back, pull it over the front. Now this is the back, this is the front. We're going to take the back, pull it over the front and off your finger, and then just pull up, and you take your hook, put it into the loop you made, and then pull the two sides to close the loop to your hook. Now make sure you don't close it too much. It needs to slide freely on your hook. Something that you definitely want to get used to when you're beginning crochet is how to hold the yarn that you're working with in your left hand. So I'll show you the way I hold mine, but you will eventually just develop your own way of holding your yarn, whatever is most comfortable for you. Everybody's different. So I take my pinky finger, I hook it around the yarn, lift up my two center fingers, and I take my index finger and I go underneath, and that is how I hold mine. My yarn is secure in my left hand, so I can hold on to it, and my right hand can do all the work. So let's go ahead and get started with chaining. So go ahead and take your middle finger and your thumb from your left hand and grab just below that knot under the loop on your hook. That way you can move your right hand and not have to worry about your left hand. And first thing we do is yarn over, which means put your hook under the yarn, and you'll be like you're grabbing the yarn, and you want to pull this through the loop on your hook. So yarn over, and if you need to turn your hook downward to get it through, go ahead and do that and pull it through. Then you can take your middle finger and thumb, move it a little higher so you have a good grip on your yarn. Yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook. Hold a little higher, yarn over, pull it through the loop on your hook. Here's a bit of a closer shot for you, so in case you have any trouble, yarn over, pull it through the loop on your hook, yarn over, pull it through the loop on your hook. And you see how it creates what looks like a braid? These are all the chains that you're making. So if you need to count your chains, you'll just go ahead and look for these little V's that are forming. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We do not count the one that's on the hook. So now that I have 7, I'm going to go ahead and chain until I get to 20. 8, 9, 10. So you just keep going, and I will come back after I have 20 chains. I have my chain of 20, and the stitch we're going to learn in this video is going to be the most basic crochet stitch, which is the single crochet, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. So your chain of 20, and then you have your loop on your hook. You do not ever count the loop that's on your hook. This never counts in your work. So in crochet, we work from right to left for the most part, and when we're working a single crochet stitch, we want to add one more chain, and that's for our turning chain. So I'm going to yarn over, pull it through the loop on the hook. So now I have 21. So this chain right here, this V right here, this is the last chain that we made, and that's our turning chain. We're going to skip over that one, and we're going to find our next one, which is right here. And we're going to put our hook into that chain. You're going to yarn over, pull the loop through. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull it through both. That is your first single crochet stitch. And looking at it from the top, it formed its own V. So at this point, to help yourself out, go ahead and take a stitch marker, or you could use just a single piece of yarn, scrap yarn. Put it under both loops of that V that you just created. So the V that your loop is coming out of, mark it right there. This will be very helpful when you get back to this side, because then you'll know that there's one more stitch. Don't forget to go into it. So we worked this stitch. Let's go to the next chain over. And if you have trouble finding which ones, you can look for these bumps on the top. These top lines indicate the chains you made. So go to the next one, put your hook in, yarn over, and pull through a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, and you can use your left hand, your thumb, and your middle finger to try and steady your work as much as you can. Yarn over, pull through both loops. Now you have 2 V's that you formed. Locate your next chain, put your hook in, yarn over, pull through a loop. There's 2 loops on your hook. Steady your work. Yarn over, pull through both. And you just want to keep doing that in every chain until you reach the end. I have 2 more to do to reach the end of my row. And here's the last one. And this is what you should have so far. It might look different than this. I've been crocheting for a while now. Make a turning chain, so you yarn over, pull the loop through the hook, chaining 1. Then you want to flip your work over, because now we always work right to left. So now you're on the back side of your work. And looking at it from the top, this first V right here, that's our turning chain, so we always skip that. Then you want to go into this next one here. So from behind, this is the turning chain here. This is the stitch that you want to go into. So put your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull a loop through. You have 2 loops on your hook, and complete your single crochet stitch. There's your V that you created. So take a second stitch marker and go ahead and mark that. It will be very beneficial for you to know where your last stitch is, so you know that you have one more to complete if you want your work to come out straight. Now, looking at your work from the back, it can be a little difficult to know where you're supposed to put your hook in next. So if you need to, go ahead and turn it so you can see your V stitches that you have at the top, and then just look for the next V. So it'd be this one right here, and from behind it would be right here. So put your hook in, yarn over, pull up your loop, pull through both. Now if you spread the stitches open, you can also see the holes where you need to go into. So that's one thing a friend of mine kept saying is, I don't know where I'm supposed to go next. I don't know where I'm supposed to put the hook next. So you look for the V. And you just keep going in every stitch until you reach the first stitch marker that you made. Now, a lot of people, when they're beginning crocheting, forget the last stitch, and then their work ends up getting shorter and shorter every row because they're skipping one stitch on each end. So that's why I want you to use either stitch marker or a piece of scrap yarn, a paper clip, a bobby pin, whatever you have, and mark the first stitch of your row. So you can just take that out and know that you still have one more single crochet to complete. So at the end of the row, chain 1, turn your work, skip your turning chain, which is this first V here, go into your next one, and don't forget to mark that first stitch that you made. Then you want to do one in each until you reach your next stitch marker. Always put a stitch marker in your first stitch that you make, and you should have a pretty even set of rows of single crochets. Always remember one turning chain at the end, skip that turning chain you just made, go into the next stitch with a single crochet, and mark the first stitch that you made. So if you're using 100% cotton yarn, you can just keep going exactly how I showed you, and when it gets big enough you could use it as a dishcloth or a washcloth or whatever you want to use it for.